Hello and welcome to the Anxious podcast. My name is Paola Sur and I'm your host. Let's talk about motherhood, anxiety, and facing our own monsters. Based on my book, The Anxious Mom Manifesto, we are going to talk about anxiety, encouraging an open conversation about mental health and motherhood. So let's get started. Hello, so I'm here again. I want to talk to you about anxiety. Let's do this. Uh, the main reason that I'm doing this, I already told you in the previous episodes, is because I want to inspire others and I want to keep being very open about this because I know a lot of people suffer in silence. And there is no need for that. We need to speak about these subjects more often. Um, what I want to talk to you about today, this second episode, is something that you need to understand. If you haven't followed me, never in my social media, or if this is the first time you hear this, this is something that you will need to understand my methods and the the whole techniques I use in my book, uh, the Anxious Mom Manifesto, that is coming into months. So this is like the biggest technique I use, and I want to explain it to you, and I want to explain you the origins of it, and just giving you a little bit of background of what I do with this technique and why this episode is called "The Monster That Saved Me." So let's start. I uh, I am also a fiction writer, so I use personification a lot uh, in my daily life, and it's something that some people find strange, but for me it's very natural because it's something that I use. It's a literary device that authors use to give traits of a human to something that is not human. So back in the day, before when I was having these very big anxiety attacks and panic attacks, um, I wanted to find ways that I can cope, that I can feel comfortable with and familiar with. And that's also something that I encourage people when they ask me, so what do you recommend? Just find something that you feel so very, very familiar with, and that's gonna help you very, very big time. So what happened to me was a long time ago when I was really, really in a very dark, dark space. I was driving with my kids and I had this very, very big panic attack. And of course, they were scared, because I had to stop the car. I was feeling shaky. And in that moment, I was not prepared to talk with them about was happening. I was just trying to calm them down and like, listen, kids, I'm fine. Mommy's fine. I'm not in danger. I'm okay. And all of this, I explain it better in my book, but I want to give you a little bit of background on the story. So that day when I saw their terrified eyes, that's when I was like, I need to find something more permanent for this because I cannot live like this. I cannot let this happen so often because these panic attacks were coming often and often, even daily or even more than once a day. So I had to okay, I need to find a solution. I came back home. I left them in school. They were safe. I came back home. I come down and I was tired. I was kind of like enraged with myself. And that's the moment I decided I need to talk about this. I need to just let it out. So I wrote a blog and I decided to start this blog series called Momxious. And yes, I start having a great response from other moms that were telling me this is how I feel. So I was trying to then find ways how can I describe this to others so they can understand. Because let me tell you something: if you don't have anxiety, if you don't know uh, um, the sensations that anxiety creates in you, physical, mentally, emotionally, it's very hard to understand them. It's very hard to explain them for from a perspective of somebody that suffers anxiety. It's very hard to explain it. And I was having a very big difficult time trying to explain my husband and my kids what I was feeling was like real sensations, physical sensations. It was not, the first things that people say to you is, "Oh, it's all in your head. Put yourself together," stuff like that. That like really are not good things to tell to a person that is suffering anxiety or a panic attack. That's the last thing you have to mention to that person. "Oh, it's all in your head. You can get over it. Just, um, this is nothing." And like trying to minimize that just makes you even like, mm, more hungry, more angry. Um, so I was trying to find a way. Okay, I need to find a way that I can explain this. And then I realized that this is like a monster. This is a monster that comes inside you, takes control over your emotions, takes control over your thoughts, and you just feed it. You feed the monster with your fears. You feed the monster every time that you lose control, and it sometimes you sometimes feel powerless because you don't know how to stop this monster to get bigger and bigger. So I decided, okay, this is a monster, and I decided to give him traits, you know, traits like a human, and use personification. So this is a technique I use, personification. I use it in my literary stories. When I tell stories, I use that mechanism a lot, and I decided to use that mechanism for me to control anxiety. So I decided to create the monster and see it outside of me. Don't see the monster inside, but trying to take it outside and even actually see him. So I was like, okay, I need to put a face to this monster. I am very bad at drawing. Like, listen, like my drawings are like I think my son Eric draws better than I, and he's 7. But my drawings are awful. So I've been working with a very talented illustrator and friend for many years, and I called her and I said, "Hey, listen, Tanya, I had this idea. I am writing this blog post about my anxiety and how I'm coping with it. And this is what I feel. I think this is a monster, but I don't want to be scared of this monster. I want you to help me to put a face on it, like to create it visually." And we talked a little bit, and she came up with this idea. It was like a little cat that was some sort of scary and ugly, but at the same time kind of cute. I don't know. It was just when I saw it, the first illustration that she ever did for me for Monkshoes, I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. And I use it in several ways. I I showed it to my kids, and I'm like, listen, this is what happens to mom when she feels that anxious. It's like a little monster outside telling me, oh, you need to be scared of this. You cannot do this. And then Eva, my oldest, who's now 10, but back then she was 7, she was like, "Mom, this monster doesn't look scary at all. It's like those monsters of Monsters Inc." And it was so brilliant for me because that was the moment when I was like, she is absolutely right. And that's the problem with anxiety when you see that monster and you're so scared of it. So it's like you need to find a way to take the monster and put the traits on it in a way that you are not scared of it. So what I started doing with the monster was like every time I was feeling anxious, I kind of imagine him um, in front of me, or like that's why if you see my pictures and in my logos, there is this little monster on my shoulder, and that's how I kind of start seeing him, like those little devils that are in the side, and then you see the little angel in the other side. Well, I just had this monster, and this monster was telling me every time I was feeling fear about something. This monster, anxiety monster tells you a lot of lies, like you're not worthy, you cannot do this is too much for you, um, you are too ugly, you are too fat, you are unhealthy, you are, that monster is the one that is telling you, feeding you lies and lies, and you believe it. But it helped me to see him outside of me, and to actually sometimes even uh, it helped me to even talk to him. Sometimes I was seeing at him, and I was looking at him, and I was angry. I could scream at it and just get out of here. I don't want to see you. This is not the time for me to have you here with me. Or you know uh, just trying to imagine him, and just seeing myself feeding the monster, just actually having that image helped me to exteriorize what I was feeling, and helped me to see anxiety in a very different way. It started with that. I'm not saying it completely cured me from anxiety, but that was the first the first step. So when you see the illustrations that I have on my book and that I have on social media, and I have the monster, and I want you to realize is that, like, sometimes maybe anxiety, uh, I recognize that anxiety might be there present all my life. Sometimes the monster appears, sometimes he disappears, but I try, I don't fear him anymore. I just see him and I acknowledge his presence, and I just, learn to actually be friends with the monster and love the monster, because uh, thanks to the anxiety monster, I have learned a lot in my life. So I managed to turn the monster into a master, and then I master the master, something like that. And that's the story I tell in my book. How from that point when I name him, and I name him Trigarion, because uh, of course anxiety is starting from triggers, and you start recognizing those triggers uh, as as like you are knowing yourself better, and you are working with yourself, and that's also what I'm encouraging in my book, that um, you have to work hard, and you have to work to get to know you better every time with all your experiences. And I think thanks to the monster, I learned a lot about myself, and a lot about the power and the amazing abilities that I had in me, that I could turn all these negative things that were happening, including anxiety, I could turn them in lessons and things that I could um, use in my life to get better, to be a better person, to stop judging others the way I used to stop judging myself the way I used to learn about fear, and learn that fear is kind of like a red flag. When fear appears, um, the monster helped me realize that fear is something that is inviting you to actually change something or try something. And instead of being consumed by that fear, you acknowledge that it's an opportunity, and you feel what you feel and just jump to it. It's not that easy. I know it's not that easy, but it's a start. And that's what I want you to take from this episode. That the first technique I ever employed was personification, putting traits into the monster. You can imagine yourself your own monster. Or if you want to take mine, I give it to you. You can use it. You can go to my social media, or you, like, even better, go to momshots.com. I have a lot of supplemental material there, guides, and a lot of stuff that can help you even before the book is out. and you can get familiar with that image of the anxiety monster. And what I try to do with the anxiety monster is just don't fear him. Just don't fear him. The monster can teach you a lot, uh, and it's up to you. It's up to you how you use it. And I know talking about it is easy, but I'm telling you, there was a point in my life a few years ago that this monster had completely control of my life. I was crying constantly. I couldn't sleep. I was restless. I, um, specifically with my kids, because for a mom it's difficult to handle everything. Juggling motherhood is hard from day to day. But I was losing my patience in a way that I was like, I was turning also into a monster. I was, yelling constantly. I was, you know, um, nervous, or I turned into this kind of mom that I I was not relaxed. Everything was dangerous. Everything was bad, and it was that point when I saw my kids terrified in the back of the minivan that I was like, okay, this got to stop. And it started with just a simple image, a little monster that I can just stop feeding. Because that's all you need to do, stop feeding the monster. So, um, personification is very easy to do. And I do it a lot. I even do it. I even did it with this microphone that I'm recording now. uh, I was seeing this microphone, and then I was thinking of the microphone telling me like, "Hey, I'm here. Use me." And I was scared, and then I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm not gonna let that fear take control over me anymore." And I just want you to use my techniques and get familiar with them before you read my book, because it's gonna get the experience even more enjoyable. So whenever you're gonna pick the book, which is also just storytelling, is my story, is my experiences as a mom living with anxiety, things that I live, the phobias I start having because the monster, or um, even fear when I start like taking medication for anxiety, or fear of doing certain activities, even with my kids. And then I saw the monster, even traveling for me, which one of these days we're gonna do an episode on traveling with anxiety. Um, which used to like it's one of my favorite things in the world to do, and I was not enjoying it because of the monster. So just get familiar with the monster character. Just know that you can exteriorize your anxiety and put traits on it that you can, just you know get comfortable with, and use it to curse at him if you want, or just to talk with him, have conversations with the monster, and you will learn to be friends with it, and to sometimes I call him it, sometimes him, I don't know. um it's just a monster. And I learned to actually love the monster in my life. And when he appears, because he still appears in my life, it's something that I cannot avoid completely. But now I know when he appears, how I can interact with him, so he won't interrupt my life or control my life and my emotions. So I hope you guys had something inspiring in all this monster conversation. And just I invite you to get familiar with all the monster subject in my book and in my other material out there. So I hope you guys um, can find that starting point the way I did, and that from there it goes easy or easier. Uh, I know it takes time, but I'm here, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm started this podcast. That's why I am releasing the book. That's why I'm talking about this, and so you're gonna get to know me better and get to know my techniques, and I will guide you. I answer all your questions, and let's go from here. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. uh, get to know me, get to know the little monster character that I created, and maybe you can use him in a similar way that I used it. I hope you enjoy the rest of the week. This weekend is gonna be fun. So let's don't let this monster defeat us, and let's don't let this monster take control of our lives. That's all. So I guess that's the message that I will leave you today. And I hope you have a great week. Bye.